Welcome, everybody, to the World of Ability podcast. After you, Kurt.
All right, everybody. I'm Kurt Roskoff. I'm co-founder of the World of Ability podcast. And this show inspired the World of Ability podcast network. This all culminated in my work in disability advocacy, and for sure got catapulted when I became vice chair of the Wisconsin Council on Physical Disabilities. I was recognized by Marty Hagedorn working through Riverwest Radio, riverwestradio.com, in having a lot of work that would do a lot of good being on radio. He asked me what I thought, and I liked his idea, and I went to Adam Voice, our captain from my team Triumph, and going ahead and being a captain in adaptive water skiing. And so we made it strong, Ability MKE Now Radio. And then we had our co-host, Jory Przynski, founder of Hope and Still, hopeandstill.org, an oasis for those living in chronic pain. And he got interviewed by Marcus Hart doing Transform You live show through Riverwest Radio. And then I saw that interview and I got inspired to reach back to Marcus when I created Global Ability Fest, now in the mindset of hybrid events. I just had a conversation meeting today that this is going to be revolutionized as of now in April. It is April Showers right here at the World of Ability Podcast Network. And we have quite the crew here today, and we're going to dive in. This is going to be rich in value. And we have our valued friends. The Happy Neighborhood Project makes this possible. So we're going to say we're here with our happy neighbors. And this is about spreading happiness around the world. We at the World of Ability Podcast Network definitely want to be involved in that. And on the coattails of spreading happiness around the world, we are in the specific mission of spreading integration and inclusion, accessibility, accommodation, and building opportunity, more and more opportunity for the 2 billion people around the world that I give credit for shaping for me how I can understand what the disability stands to do for the future here in the world and on earth. So let's get down to it. Let's get into this business. Let's roll up our sleeves. It's a big deal. And go ahead, deal it out, Emily. Who's our first guest here, right at the World of Ability podcast show, podcast, live streaming. We're hitting YouTube, LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live. Emily, who's first? Who's the first contestant on the World of Ability podcast? Emily, there we go.
I think I'm here. I think we're just going to go in order here on my list. So we are going to start with Miss Alistair, who is out on the East Coast in Virginia and is somebody we met at the Happy Neighborhood Project, who is an author of several books and journals and is a motivational speaker. So Alistair, you want to expand on that or introduce yourself a little more?
Yes. So my name is Alistair Banks. I am a multi-generational author and motivational speaker and blogger. So I have written several books now. I've written children's books. I've written young adult fiction books, which are Christian inspired, and I've written journals and cookbooks. And my books are called A Colorful Balloon Ride, Lenny the Lizard and His Green Scarf, Spring Brings Summer, The Pursuit of Love and Hope, a short collection of poems, Be Positive, a positivity journal for adults, The Gratitude Journal for kids, Show Life and Yourself Some Love, a gratitude journal for teens. And the title for the Gratitude Journal for Teens was inspired by the fact that I struggled with loving life and being able to embrace life growing up, because I think I kind of grew up in a complicated household and just the struggle of my family dynamic and what was happening with my parents and with my brother. And also as a child, I was bullied in school. And so I think that grew some sort of more of like a resentment towards life and people. And I think that one of my teachers introduced me to journaling, and I think the journaling helped me to release some of the anger and some of the resentment that I felt towards my loved ones and towards my peers. And so in turn, I think I turned the journal into something positive now for children, teens, and adults to help them to focus on just the little things in life, help them to focus on just one simple thing that you might be grateful for that day. And also in my journals, I have like on a scale of 1 to 10 of how are you feeling that day. And so they just kind of bubble that in. And then it's just like a tracking your progress, seeing where you're at. And the goal of it is again on a scale of at least 9 or 10, so that you can be feeling a little bit more positive about life, not being like in this suicidal state of mind. And also giving them affirmations, doing the coloring pages to help those to relax and to calm down and not to feel stressed, but for the coloring pages to help you to de-stress and to give you just a positive quote as well to help you to feel empowered, to help you to cope with what's going on in your life.
All right, sounds great. A lot of things speaking into life and what it entails and the work you're doing, being a resource and wonderful reading you're producing. Thank you, Alistair. And we're going to bring you back into the conversation once we get our introductions going. And I always like to make sure we get plenty from our color commentator, Barbara. Barbara, I know you're kind of multitasking and you're moving on to something shortly, but do you have any time here, Barbara, to weigh in, come off of mute? I don't know if you're on your phone dialed in, *6, Barbara, but I want to take a moment to check in. I want to make sure you get a chance to be a part of the conversation. All right, Barbara, are you coming in? All right, Barbara's not unmuting yet. Let's go over to Mary Ann. Well, Barbara, we'll have to check back in with her. Mary Ann, why don't you go ahead and introduce your project and give us a little bit of your connection with the World of Ability podcast and kind of what you're up to at the moment and things you're looking to achieve in the near future.
Well, thank you, Kurt Roskoff and Emily and the Disability Channel World of Ability. I have been so involved with the Happy Neighborhood Project in Hawaii, where I lived. I'm currently in Mexico, and I've written a series of children's sign language books, which are really in animation movies, with soundtrack by Lucy Lynch and The Perfect Wave. And my co-writer, Suzanne Sims, and I have been in communication to write the climate change books. So we have the soundtrack, and I'm creatively working with amazing Fiverr people to create these books. And lo siento means I'm sorry, but if I get cut off here, it means I'm birthing something right now. It's being uploaded to the cloud. I'm so excited. Tears of joy for Rabbit Acts of Kindness, No Bully first chapter. So it's been a lot of work and creative work to create the games, hire the people, and then get it approved by Apple. And but it's amazing and exciting, because this is what the world is, what the world needs. I had a calling in Hawaii that I was going to write a series of children's sign language books, and I left. And there's a company called Folk Menace Puppets, and I ended up interpreting for a deaf man for over a decade in Hawaii. And I got to live my dream, kind of like on a sailboat. So they're amazing things, but to see how much productivity that can be happening, and we can leave a legacy that we can share what's happening globally, with the garbage patch, between no bullying. Now I'm working on the climate change. And, I worked in mental health with deafness, over 30 years ago. And I just want to highlight too, Trevor Gibbs, because he makes sure your websites are ADA compliant. So it's an amazing journey to meet all these people. And, maybe I had a vision and mission there. Now I do have it. I'm more passionate about it now because I see the vision, because we can make it all happen with all these technology things. And no one has done it in sign language. So here I am. I'm creating this amazing stuff, and I get to talk about it. And, last week I was kind of like, hey, Emily, I'm like, how are you getting those avatars up there? And, I'm on an iPhone. And, it worked out, and being on Zoom with Wikipedia and all that stuff. And so it just takes patience and time and all that. And of course, I'm a grand speaker of you guys. You guys are doing amazing work. and so happy and proud to be part of this journey. So again, Kirk, it's Easter weekend, it's Holy Week here in Mexico. And, I'm not a mother, so to speak, but I have just birthed another Apple App game. So I'm so excited to share it with the world. So you can go visit it. It's called Rapid Acts of Kindness No Bully, actsofkindnessseries.com. And again, all classroom teachers can get copies of my books from donorschoose.org. So everybody wins. Back to you. So go out and play. I'm Marianne of Waikiki.
All right, Marianne. So I want to check in with Barbara again. Barbara, do you have anything to add into the conversation? What's happening with you today, and what are your thoughts you bring to the world of ability, Barbara?
Hi, thank you guys. Thank you for having me on. This whole focus this week is about how when we're challenging obstacles, and the harder the problem, the bigger the obstacle, the more our lives are going to shine as we win through the very things that we're challenging. And that's a discussion that's in the Buddhist community that's been a focus for this entire week. And I have such challenges right now, financially and physically. And how wonderful to think that if I just hang in there, don't quit, don't give up, that I'll be able to inspire people more than ever. I wonder what you all think. Have you had experiences of overcoming great obstacles and becoming stronger than ever? I'm watching this girl from from Taiwan, and she has overcome 4th stage cancer, and she's so full of gratitude and feeling grateful for her life, and she's showing actual proof of that concept. Does anyone else have anything to say about that very subject?
Yeah, I would say, Barbara, that I believe when we overcome obstacles and share what we've learned and the outcomes and how we press through it, that's what we have to share with each other. Because to me, we're 8 billion people around the world. That is essentially like one organism of humankind, and the closer we are tied together and the more we communicate and use our brains and our souls and our hearts and what's in our belly, the more that intertwines and binds together, the more powerful the human race becomes. So I really think whether people are overcoming cancer or health challenges, or in an advocacy, or in writings where you might have writer's block. We had a gentleman who was going to start a podcast, and then all of a sudden he was going to go ahead and do a couple episodes already, and I checked with him how it's going, and then all of a sudden he said he's not interested anymore. So obviously he's going through something there, and a challenge he apparently didn't want to share with me, but it's stuff that we should always be cognizant of, a challenge that somebody else may be going through that they're not sharing with us. And so it's a little something of being aware and just put ourselves in this context of what are we doing to be favorable to that other person. And then in interacting with each other, there's this mantra, which is always great, helping each other be the best version of ourselves. So I want to bring in Z here. Z, if you can come in here and share a little bit with us. Welcome to the World of Ability family. And so you see here, we are sharing of our talents and our insights, and sharing who we are, what we do, any products or services we have, and just being a resource to all of our viewers and listeners. So Z, who are you, and what do you do in the world, and what do you have to offer, and how can we help you right here at the World of Ability? Take it away, Z.
Thank you. Hi, everyone, and thank you for having me. This is my first time here, and I came upon the invite by looking up some nonprofit events that I can go to, because I am taking courses in public administration and nonprofit. So that's how I'm here. And for work, I'm a producer. For a home shopping network. But I also, prior to that, prior to COVID, I was doing like really hard journalism. So I've always had like an inquisitive nature and looking to research and get to know people. And I'm definitely finding where communication like this is needed in the workplace, so we can just have a diverse understanding for everyone.
Excellent stuff. It sounds like you fit right in here. This is quite a great group. This is very powerful. I'm thinking our viewers and listeners are really soaking this in, like, wow, what an opportunity to stay tuned to the remainder of this show. And now we even bring in Amanda. Amanda, welcome to the World of Ability family. And we want to get to know you as a member of this resource group and a little bit more of your trail and your life, any company you may be connected with, products, services. Amanda, what is it that you offer to the world? And how can we here at the World of Ability help you? Amanda, take it away. Come on mute and give us some part of your conversation, Amanda. And then Emily, I'll ask you. Emily, do you by chance know who Amanda is? Anything you can do to introduce Amanda?
I have not a clue who Amanda is.
All right, so we're all.
And before Z introduced herself, I had no clue who she was either.
So,
Okay.
well, welcome, Amanda. I would love to talk with you because I partner with Leon McLaughlin with Clean Water Foundation. And so, yes, we're always trying to make things shine, and we would love to talk to you in the future. So this is amazing. The Disability Channel, Happy Neighborhood Project. So keep showing up and we're going to connect. Back to you, Kurt.
All right. I think you might have been referring to Z because we didn't hear from Amanda. I got a feeling Amanda maybe came in here to just watch and listen. And I think we maybe called on her and she wasn't ready to be a part of the conversation.
Looks like she might have dropped off.
Yep. So, but in any case, we'll take care of Patty here. Patty, come on in. What do you bring to us today? What are your thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, Patty? What do you bring to us? What are you doing to serve the world? And how can we at World of Ability help you, Patty? All right, we're checking.
Hey, how are you? So I'm Patty Ernest with Patty's Pampered Pet Sitting in Phoenix, Arizona. And my question is, how can I rejoin HMP?
Well, can you rejoin HMP? All right, Patty, here is the answer to that. What we need to do when we have a barrier to entry with another person or a group, what we can do is we can just retool and do what a friend of mine told me. I was in a situation in Milwaukee where a friend told me, Kurt, what you need to do is reclaim your fame. So that's what we can do is we can look at, like when I was in high school and I was part of the National Honor Society, I presented something called NICE Leadership. It's an acronym: noteworthy, innovative, cooperative, and exciting. Being exciting, because what's fun gets done. And so the idea is we can ask ourselves, when we have a group like the Happy Neighborhood Project, what is our noteworthy position? Like here we have Emily showcasing the HMP Ambassador Program, and Sue is an HMP Ambassador, and so am I. And Marianne has been a co-host of the Happy Neighborhood Project. And so with that co-host community, it's a way to be in servitude and leadership. So the idea, Patty, is what is this great value that you can be in the Happy Neighborhood Project community? And then what is the innovative thing? We have 3,800 members. So what is it that Patty offers to the Happy Neighborhood Project that nobody else does? And then the idea being, and then the idea being cooperative, to say, how are we going to bring out the best in 3,800 co-op members? And then to be exciting so that when we're a part of the Happy Neighborhood family, the neighborhood that is HMP, you know, how are we a part of it that we're adding to the zeal and appeal and attraction that when we are looking to grow to 10,000 members of the Happy Co-op, that we can ask ourselves, how is Patty going to help this growth? Like we had Alan Raceman was recognized yesterday at HMP Worldwide for bringing in himself 500 members to the Happy Co-op. So he brought in 500, means the rest of us brought in 3,300 members to the co-op. So that is amazing. So we can work with you, Patty, to do all of those milestones and accomplishments and see what we can do to repair and recover from the broken road between Patty Ernest and HMP. So with that being said, I want to give Z a chance to come back in here and give us a little bit more of the inspiration. I love what you're saying, Z, about nonprofits. Emily is heading up a campaign with Nonprofit TV on the Facebook page that you can find. Go to facebook.com, search for Nonprofit TV. You can see a great Facebook page, and you can see Emily's start to a campaign where we're doing 30-second to 2.5-minute video renditions shared on that page with a nice little post that makes it very resourceful and direct benefit to those following that page, obviously being interested in nonprofits. So Z, you want to speak a little bit more to a little bit more on your view and what you're aspiring to do with nonprofits, and tell us more about how this group here can help you with your interest in nonprofits.
Sure. I'm more so trying to learn as much as I can before I put anything into action, but trying to really find out. I feel like joining events like this, you can learn what's the need of the public, really. And I think from there, it's helpful figuring out what type of nonprofit would be more valuable to the community.
Okay. Well, what I can tell you, Z, is in 20 years, I connected to 100 different organizations, and I'm here doing this show because pretty universally, what we find that whatever mission we attach ourselves to in the nonprofit sector, that there's something to add on to what the organization is already doing in marketing. Because the idea is, the formula is, the success of a nonprofit is driven by two things. It's a binary. Either people are coming in to give of their time and talents and to be involved and to be the human resource for the organization, or what's paid gets done. People out there are being philanthropic, being contributors, donating, tithing, and everything to the nonprofit mission. So when we build up that treasury, now that nonprofit has that monetary resource to build upon the structure and to carry out everything needed to do the work of the nonprofit. So people and money is simply what it's about. So then how do they get people and money? Well, they need troubadours. And a lot of times they're leaning on their board of directors to go out and to make these things happen. And everybody is so busy. So my work is to direct people to cooperative work, co-producing the future, using things like time banks and mutual aid networks and common funds, and to do more of this pooling of community resources. Here we're advocating for people with disabilities, where we can report, obviously, through, like, say, as an example, the work of what is it now? Independence, Interdependence. That's a film that is out there, which a lot of people in Wisconsin are on there sharing their journey, being a Wisconsinite with a disability, and kind of the issues that they have living within the constructs of how life in Wisconsin works, including bureaucracy and Medicare programs, and how employment works and stuff like that, the hurdles to the point of systemic oppression. So it's really taking something that, if you get to the right place, you can get with a coalesced group around this insight and the advantage of knowing the ins and outs of that issue. But then it's a challenge to create it at a magnitude where anything ever changes. And so that's why I got involved in media, because I feel that we need a better platform to go out to the masses. And another way that's really great to do that is through books. And that's why I love what Marianne and Alistair are doing. And I want to real quickly here check in again with Barbara. Barbara, are you at a place to come back in and give a little bit more of your insight of the nonprofit world and helping Z learn about having humanitarian mission and whether it's environmental objective or whatever it is? Let's do a little bit of that sharing peace, love, joy, and happiness. Barbara, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm actually excited about seeing the power of prayer, praying to be able to serve and connect with people, and then watching these connections come about, and just I'm praying to have the strength and the energy to pull it all together. That seems to be a lot where my life is right now. But I'm seeing the best thoughts, when you're praying for everything, what's impossible, you go, well, that'll never happen, but that would be so great, to make life a happier, healthier place. And then you see the possibilities start showing up. And that's what I'm seeing with my life right now. Just trying to hang in there and stay strong enough to put the pieces together, and just know if it's a big challenge, that's great. We should go, come on, obstacles, because I know that's like my diving board, so I can jump up higher and go further into where I want to be. I don't know if that answered the question you were posing.
It does. It does. That was great, Barbara. So thank you very much.
And thank you. We need that type of encouragement, Barbara, and we appreciate you because you did teaching and education. You always come on and do it. So every little thing that we do together, we all learn and grow. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
So I want to check in with Alistair really quick. Alistair, are you there available to add more into the conversation, a little bit more of your perspective of the heart work you're doing and the genuine interests you have in helping youngsters and readers of all ages through your books and the writings that you create?
I think just being able to help youngsters with learning colors, because I talk about learning colors in a colorful balloon ride. And so what a colorful balloon ride does is it helps preschoolers and kindergartners how to identify and match colors. And so all of this is done at the county fair with Mr. John, who teaches Mary and Emily their colors. And so growing up, I love going to the county fair with my dad. And I just love being able to ride on the Ferris wheel, being able to ride on the carousel and be able to ride horses, see the petting zoo, have my first candy apple, enjoy the sun, being out in the grass, just getting outside and just enjoying, the atmosphere and people and the music and everything else in between with that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Sue, I want to bring you in here as host of Ability MKE Now and this family of podcasts, everything we're doing in our mission, some things of it we've been recognized for. But what are you seeing in this conversation and with Z's interest to learn? Kind of what can you say about what you've learned in the last 10 years based on what we've been doing as a family?
Ooh, deep question. Well, I'm going to defer for just 1 second. And in the last few minutes here, downloaded Marianne's new app and have been actually playing and learning the sign language for the alphabet. And if you can see the awesome little bee, there's a bumblebee on there. When you complete your level, a beautiful butterfly comes through and drops a Hawaiian lei on the bee when you complete the level. It's adorable. I love it. Had to share because Marianne, well done. This is super fun. So here's this picture of the next, and I'm getting a pop-up in the middle of that, so sorry. So you can see the letters of the alphabet in sign language on there, and you need to figure out which letter is which. And as you click on a letter, say, for example, there's an A in there. So I'm going to click A, and you can see what happens. Now you have to, once you get all of the letters in whatever the word or phrase is at the top, then you complete the level, and it's very sweet. I like this very much. So Marianne, well done, and thank you so much for creating that. That's so cool.
Well, thank you. And, again, tears, seriously, I'm like crying, but tears of joy is that I have a talent to sign it. And also I met Scott at Easter in Hawaii. So it's a move is very hard, but you do it, but the universe told you what to do. And you meet the right people. And so yes, I got to meet him. I got to sign for him for 10 years. And so he's part of that blessing. And we have the music and the soundtrack. And that's all and we're uploading it. So tears of joy. So by kind of going through a change of not saying removing or moving, the universe gave you something else too. So no, it's tears of joy. Thank you so much for shining that. I'm so proud of it, and just amazing work. So Kurt, help us out to bring it into animation movies. And back to you. I'm Marianne of Waikiki.
All right. Thanks, Marianne. So Sue, did you have anything more to add, or were you complete with what you were sharing?
Well, it's been quite the journey, because we basically started almost 10 years ago now with the journey from how we really started rolling down this path of our background in adaptive water skiing, and how that has taken us through all these different avenues to the point where here we are talking with all these wonderful people on here, all the people we've met through HMP, all those that have joined us here on all these podcasts that we've had along the way. And there's been inspirational stories within every single one of the guests that have been on here. It's amazing. It's a lot of fun to get to have this opportunity to meet all these beautiful people, and to be able to share with the world what each of them is doing, and what it can mean for others, because you don't know what you don't know. And getting to have these different things highlighted, and that's what we do with Ability MKE now, with the radio show we do on Wednesday nights. Same kind of thing, where just bringing awareness to different topics and things that why if you haven't had a chance to experience it yourself personally yet, it gives you a chance to experience it through somebody else. And it's been a lot of fun and very powerful stories along the way. And I appreciate everyone who's been able to join in and be part of that. So if you have other questions, let me know, but that's what's on top of mind right now.
Excellent. So we're going to do some revisits to some visuals that Sue created. Here's a visual of me at our water ski show site and doing a little announcing there. I'm just going to go through this really quickly. We're going to come back to this over and over during this show. This is showing a mission, which I'll just simply say it's what culminates into my saying everything is for everybody. And here we got our TDC, the Disability Channel platform showcasing abilities. And there's Jay Stoyan in the upper left. We're in a show with the guests there. And our ambassador program, here we are at World of Ability with Transforming Media Network. We also have the Tech Engagement Network that spawned from there. I'm in the upper center doing disability advocacy with the Adaptive Community Approach Program, participating in Survival Coalition, Disability Advocacy Day of Action, Compassionate Citizens on the left. Some people might recognize their Chief Happiness Officer there with the word happy behind him in that show we did for Compassionate Citizens. And then on the right-hand side of all this, we have our award we got for what we did in adaptive water skiing, and showing how we branched off to wheelchair basketball and inclusive sports in the lower center. And then we have more of a tech engagement network partner in the upper right. And we did the Pulling Each Other Along radio show in conjunction with Ability MKE now for quite some time. And then on the left, the Adaptive Sports Expo out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 60 partners to the event and 50 active experiential activities on the grounds at the high school venue, including pool and track and field and tennis courts and everything that the school had to offer. We were using it for Adaptive Sports Expo. And then Ability Fest USA we see there, which has grown to Global Ability Fest. And when we talk about Ability MKE Now, our founding co-host team for Ability MKE Now, Adam, Dawn, and Jory, And so here's quite a montage. We have in the upper right our shakedown we do every day. We have action track chairs in the upper center, giving accessibility of wilderness to people with physical disabilities. And in the upper left, we're like, yes, wheelchair users do rock climbing too. On the left center is me as motivational speaker, me as the Riddler, lower left center. We had a magazine article done on our family, and in the right panel and on top there, you're seeing a paramobile unit that is taken on greatly in golf. That unit is great on golf courses, and you're seeing wheelchair sports with the sports wheelchairs used in gymnasiums, and there's a little bit of adaptive water skiing and more on the adaptive water skiing at our show site. So yes, people with disabilities are performing in water ski shows. And here's Adaptive Adventures, over 20 forms of adaptive sports and recreation. And Sue picked out here the Veterans Program to accentuate our commitment to veterans. And here's veteran Harold Hack. We call him Hackster. He's demonstrating the seated wakeboard. And here's our Happy Neighborhood Project. Sue, Emily, and I, with a few more co-hosts, we are hosting Tuesdays at 1 Central, HMP, Wisconsin, Minnesota. We remind people to look every March to International Day of Happiness, and save the date, October 6th, Global Happiness Summit. And there we go. There's my proposition. Make your business for everybody and improve your bottom line. So we're going to be revisiting that and pulling out different points and expounding upon that in future shows. Well done, Sue. What a montage. And we have Tim Terozzi in here. He has the Blue Collar Crypto Show, which will be on again tomorrow afternoon at 4 Central for a quick one. And then 6 Central, he expounds a little bit more on cryptocurrency for the blue collar workers. So Tim, how you doing today? Happy Saturday. And what's your message today, Tim? What do you got?
Well, I want to encourage people that are trying to change their careers, that are trying to get out of one thing and get into something else and make that transition. So my show is geared more towards that. You may be thinking, how do I get into the new economy? So maybe I'll have some guests that'll show you how to do that, that are more focused on the changes in our economy, and how to transition. Hey, all the skills that you have in a blue collar world they're very valuable in the new economy. So you punch in and, you spend the amount of hours working, and in the new economy, you can make a lot of money with those blue collar skills. So that's all I got. That's all I can say impromptu.
That's good. That's good. I think Alistair has something to say. Alistair, what's in your mind? Please share.
Yeah, so I've just enjoyed your presentation and what you're having to go over. And I love the pictures. I love the one on the water ski. Then I love the one that had like the green hat on, and just seeing what all you have to provide and the benefits for those with disabilities, and just being able to help those with disabilities to learn to overcome their disability, and but also to engage with them and to do fun things with those people too.
Excellent. Thanks, Alistair. Very good. So Z, I want to come back to you. I always have fun with, new guests, new additions to our World of Ability family. And it's great to hear that you're learning, observing. And so you're kind of a guinea pig for us, because there's a lot of people watching and listening we can't talk to, but you're here to talk to. So what's on your mind? How are we doing? You got like 7 panelists of expert specialists, and you can ask any question that you might have. So what are you thinking, Z?
Yeah, I am learning a lot, especially when you're explaining what your nonprofit does for those who have disabilities. And it actually made me wonder, in terms of your organization or everyone's organization, this is a question for everybody. I'm wondering, how do your organizations promote independent living for those with disabilities in terms of like helping them with jobs or maybe transportation or just anything like that.
Okay, all right,
Being social, even like dating, networking, I don't know.
Yeah, so like I was saying, everything for everybody. This will be good. So Barbara, we're going to start with you. What are your observations on the ability conversation? And when I say inclusion, accessibility, accommodation, opportunity, and we're talking jobs and romance and, every travel, everything there is in life. How are you seeing it, Barbara, that where are we seeing success in that people with disabilities are empowered?
Kurt, I see you as such an inspiration, as such a role model to help people feel worthwhile and necessary and needed and important and celebrated. You're so good with your language and your ability to hear and cheer people on. And I see Sue do that too. I see your wife do that too. And of course, Marianne's always such an inspiration because she's constantly like, not just creating, but getting out there and enjoying life, going on sailboats. And I know we get to see this show and see actual proof of how life can really be good, how there's really good people out there that care. And it's so good to feel that, so good to see that and to be part of that. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thanks for the part that you do, Barbara. Always good to have you part of our conversations here. And so the way I lay it out is I talk about the 6-lane highway. So the first lane of the highway is going out there in the face spaces, even if people are in meditation or we hear about Reiki masters or yoga, whatever it is, there's something that kind of drives the soul and kind of creates that position we are to the future and to eternity. And so there's that space. And then you have the nonprofit space that we're talking about and the charities and volunteerism. We got some time banking out there. So that service sector is one of those lanes. And then we have the educational sector or the educational institution, the field of education and the personal professional development and all of that. And how are we doing making accommodations for people with disabilities? And then we have the civic center. We have the municipalities, the regions, the states, the nations, and all of that element where we may be patriotic to where we live and to have that egocentrism of our location and all of the community activities and stuff like that. How are we doing making that available to people with disabilities? And then the business sector. And as an advocate, I give the global marketplace the worst score of all. When you look at all the things we do in the world, and the idea is to work to live, and the prohibition of people with disabilities fully as a large population, the largest minority group, to be fully involved in all aspects of the future of the global marketplace, we need to do 33 times more in all of these realms. And then the fun stuff with what I showed, water skiing, I talked about basketball, 50 adaptive sports and rec activities, 60 partners, the smorgasbord of everything there is in sports, rec, hobbies, pastime, leisure, travel, the arts, performing arts, music, whatever it all is, all of this stuff. How are we doing making an equitable exchange and having things functionally reasonable, functionally favorable? There's so much to do, and it's so easy to make a quantum leap. So Marianne, I want you to talk about this a little bit. You got a strong history and advocacy with the deaf and hard of hearing community and all the great work you do. Marianne, if you can come unmuted, I want you to speak to this a little bit, what Z's talking about in terms of how as groups, like say HMP with HMP ability, what are you thinking, Marianne? What's the secret sauce that groups can advance culture?
The secret sauce is kind of like follow your passion. And, if you like what you do, if it's an outdoor activity or sport, and, I relocated to Hawaii and I met Scott, and we went swimming everywhere. Uh, you know, um, Colina, I had transportation. I had a great support system over there. I got to sign with the Unity Church of Hawaii, and uh, some people don't get your story, but somehow the universe instilled it into me. And the characters that I met were actually real people, like Dr. Fingers, the finger spelling hermit crab. He was a chiropractor that worked on me. So, it's just kind of like, and also, how would you leave your legacy? And so these are really global topics that are happening. So the books are, again, aspired. They're age and 8 and above, but you can read the books, and we have the videos now, and just kind of like Dora the Explorer. So no one has to do anything in sign language. So, I like it, and I get to sit here, and again, I'm birthing as we speak, the new Apple app game. And so when I met my deaf friend Scott, I just said, I was walking down the road on Easter. It's really passionate for me, in Waikiki. And I said, I saw his hearing aids, and I wasn't going to get involved with anybody because I had gone through some things. And anyway, I did. I showed up, and guess what? Going out to lunch, networking, and signing for him was a blast. So I had a presence. I had a purpose again. Even though I did that 30 years ago, and sometimes physically, my mind, body, and spirit can't do it. And he was highly educated, and he still is. That his power was to bring his hearing back. And so all these different kind of conventions or meetings and groups, I was part of it, and I'm very proud that I got to do it. And they got to meet me. So, and when at the Unity Church of Hawaii too, I heard the soundtrack, and I was her first singing, and then the second one came out when I came back from sailing, and I'm like, oh my God, I tears of joy. I mean, I just sat down and started crying. I'm like, I am today, kind of in a way, because it's Easter. And then she came out with the second album, and I go, that's the next album for the book. So every time I was kind of like signing, like there was a message there, and I just love that passion with it, and to continue to create them. So back to you, Kurt. And so we're making the climate change book. Yeah, so kind of in a way, what you want. Sometimes you are physically disabled. I overcame vertigo, and I sailed with instructors that were chiropractors and knew about my hearing loss. And Scott was deaf. So there are people that are really compassionate. And then he married a wife that was an acupuncturist. So, signing and doing all that kind of stuff does take a mental, physical strain on you. And you can relieve some of those kind of pressures. So, and I don't want to say, I love what I'm creating right now. And I'm hoping that we are leaving the legacy, that we can bring in animation movies with sign language characters. So that's my story to you. And I've got to sail, believe me. I'm in St. Carlos, but I kind of like just choose to do other things. So it's just, so I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
All right, excellent stuff. So what I would like everybody to do is to go to their browsers and type in the letter J, and then DOG for dog, and then productions, all the letters together, jdogproductions.com. So again, that's jdogproductions.com. And when you get up the correct website, right front and center will be an option for interdependence. Go ahead and click on that interdependence page, and then take a look at that film available there. It's available through YouTube. You can go to youtube.com and type in Interdependence. It's by J-Dog Productions. And go ahead and watch that. That's where you'll see the message about systemic oppression and our friends from around Wisconsin speaking to this, and very worthwhile viewing and listening and learning, Z, and for all of us here and everybody out there. I think it's pretty much an assignment I'm very comfortable to give everybody in my life. I don't think you really know what's going on in the world until you watch Interdependence. And so this got inspired by Emily, because Emily sent me a direct message on Zoom saying Z's comment reminded me of Greg's Interdependence movie. So Greg is at J-Dog Productions. And so Emily, can you come on here a little bit, explain a little bit more about what you heard from Z and connecting it to the movie and anything else you have to add to our conversation? So here we go. We're waiting for Emily, our podcast engineer, co-host, H&P ambassador. There she is.
I'm trying to remember, but it had something to do with just kind of helping people with disabilities and something along those lines. But there with like the different issues, like with the whole like marriage thing and the whole kind of equity of the whole situation.
All right, sounds good, Emily. So we're going to move on to Sue. Sue, where are you on the whole thing? When Emily says the situation and everything that we know from the Interdependence film and Z's original point of, you know, how do we do it in our organization and in our community work that it opens up the doors of opportunity for people with disabilities?
Well, I'm just thinking back to that production of Interdependence, that is super eye-opening to get it firsthand from those who are dealing with disabilities on a daily basis. I know until I was with a friend that is a full-time wheelchair user, there's things that I never thought about that he's got to think about all the time. Like, what happens in the morning when I have to get up, and what if my caregiver doesn't show up that day? I can't get up. Or we're all going to go to eat somewhere tonight, and to have the thought that, you know what, we have to actually call ahead and see, is there a ramp there? Can he get in? You know, silly things that it seems like it should be a no-brainer that these things just happen. But it's a whole way of thinking about things and having to approach everything that until you have to deal with it yourself, you don't think about. And to have those firsthand stories makes an impact. And especially for us here in Wisconsin, that they happen to be local stories, it hits home quite a bit. So like you're saying, I absolutely appreciate what they've done to put that together, and encourage everybody to go and take the time to take a look at that and see what you can learn from it, because that's like with what we do with these shows. I'm hoping everyone that listens in can walk away with some sort of a nugget that means something to them, and that in Interdependence you'll walk away with several. Back to you, Kurt.
I just want to quick share, because if you know my mind, and I appreciate the other author too, because like the expansion with making coloring books is so therapeutic. And I remember like I went through a period of a little bit of stress, and I started coloring, and I didn't know why, but and so now I know how to adapt to it and overcome some things, especially with vertigo, and now to make them and sit down and lay down and relax your mind and body and spirit. Because if I have a spell, like, oh my gosh, like, and I want to, and it's really, it's a different challenge when you're older. Well, not to say that, or what you did or overcome in your careers, but when you talk about it. But the coloring books are amazing, and they're therapeutic. So, and that's what we created too. So I highlight the other author that is doing that as well, and how she worded it. It was amazing, because everybody has a different way of adapting to different things, and reading or seeing the visual characters or this and that. So it's all for all ages of heart. So kudos to everybody who's doing this amazing work. At whatever time in your life, what gives you relief or fun and joy. So go out and play. I'm Mariana Waikiki.
All right, thanks again, Mary Ann. So I want to check in with Alexander. Alexander, if you were just here to watch and listen, you can just type to that. I see the question of, is the social models of disability a good way to describe the disability model? So Alexander, do you want to explain that? I know that there's, like, we go by world of ability to kind of keep it more on focusing of abilities. So Alexander says, I have high functioning autism and my mom keeps putting me down. So yeah, the ideas of stigma and inequity, in sacred scripture, we hear about being equally yoked. And so in the faith community, maybe people might be able to challenge that. Maybe people with disabilities never are given a chance to be equally yoked in moving forward to the future. So stereotyping as well. So yeah, these assumptions, presumptions. I've given the story many times about when we got trained up with adaptive rock climbing. One of the participants of the rock climbing program said, what's happening is you're pushing an experience on me, because the volunteers learn about how adaptive rock climbing works and then going up to a diverse ability athlete doing rock climbing and saying, all right, here we go. Go ahead and do this. Got to go here, and got to this, got to that. And the guy's like, excuse me, I think I know pretty well, I've been living with this physical disability all my life. And I think, I love that you're here to volunteer to help and do this experience with me. But if you could please just let me kind of indicate where your role comes in, that'd be great. It's great to hear that you're prepared to do anything that I might ask. And yeah, feel free to offer, we can do this together. But telling the group that maybe we can refrain from telling someone with a disability how they got to do stuff, that type of thing. So Alexander, did you want to come unmuted, or are you preferring this typing format? We just have about a minute left, but want to give you a chance if you wanted to. So in the meantime, Alistair, we got
to. Alexander had another question about what are 3 ways people can start talking about disabilities in a neutral way.
So to answer that question, I would say avoid unnecessary attention. And yeah, I know there's this idea of objectification, drawing attention to somebody's disability, because you're all of a sudden like, all right, group, how can we help this person? And they maybe don't want that attention. So Emily, what are your ideas?
Well, I just want to highlight too, again, Kurt, I worked for Scott and like showing the visual sign language, you're deaf, you're hard of hearing, and kind of showing those emotions. And now in saying that I have a hearing loss. It doesn't matter what today is, like the weather could totally change things. The wind can totally change my hearing loss. So I am hard of hearing, but all those things can adapt to it. And I don't wear hearing aids. But so even though I don't have a visible presence, it's just wearing glasses. It's really kind of neat. You don't have some of those things, your cane, your cross, your glasses, or the things behind you, doesn't mean anything. And when someone does say that, well, I'm hard of hearing, I'm grateful. Yeah, here we go. And it's maybe this hearing aid, using a cane doesn't, just because you look like it shouldn't judge you. The fact is you don't, you're right. And so say that. So right.
All right, so Mary Ann, I'm mute there. All right, so we have a comment. I'm so ashamed of myself and I'm so bad at math. My mom said that if I move back, there is a contract to sign. She puts me down and also has high expectations for me as an individual in society and wants me to sign a contract, including paying my bills, the portion of the phone bill, utility bill, and she will charge rent, but at an extremely low cost. We have another comment here. I think that we should make all organizations more adaptive to people with disabilities. So Alistair, I want to give you a chance here, a little minute to win it. We're at the end of our show, but I want to just give you a chance to give a last thought. Do you have anything, Alistair?
I think it's just, with people with disabilities, not making them feel less than or inferior, that you're just like everybody else. I was diagnosed with a learning disability growing up as a child. And so one of my resource teachers helped me with reading comprehension, and she was able to sit down with me and show me how to break, down sentences, how to comprehend paragraphs. And I think that kind of helped me to comprehend what was written out on paper instead of just having to go there, just read through everything and trying to absorb everything all at once, being able to take each piece one at a time. And so also I've struggled with ADHD too. And, that, being able to, because I've struggled with focus and being able to concentrate. So I know, how that I know how a learning disability feels, and I can relate to someone that might be struggling with ADHD or reading comprehension.
Yeah, very good. Thanks for sharing, Alistair. Thanks for providing your lived experience. Very valuable. Appreciate it. And Tim, I want to give you a minute to win it here. Thanks for joining us, Tim. And let's see your comment of we should approach each organization with a plan to help them include more. So with that, Tim, I want to give you a minute for any last comments while we're ending the show here.
Well, I have a friend, and him and I are phone buddies, right? Old-fashioned 2-hour conversation. He says he has $22 left for the rest of the month. So I'm not asking for money, but I just want to focus on that. He's a dear friend of mine. And he says, well, that's $22 left for, 20 days. So I'm like, there's a lot of people in that situation. He's a senior and lives in a trailer park. He owns his own trailer, but somehow he's got to make do maybe $300 for the rest of the month, or maybe he's got $2 a day, looking at that until the next month where he has to pay his, lot rent. And how many people are on fixed, I'm going to say fixed incomes that we can help out there? Let's say $500, $1,000 extra every year. We should be focusing on people on fixed incomes. There's a larger percentage of our population, people with disabilities, people get Social Security checks, disability checks, that, they're just looking for chips and soda, cigarettes, how can we help them with their extra $1,000 a year in income? How can we just give them that much, let's say, and make that much of a difference in their lives? So we got to be, I think more activity in that respect, more service delivery, delivering these services and finding out who needs them, kind of like doing government's work, but maybe doing a better job than government does, or, adding on to what the government does, what do they say? Supplement, right? So good friend of mine, looks like he's about 71. His name is Jim. And he's like, well, what am I going to do? He doesn't have any, limited to, there's some income limitations because he's on some government programs. They limit his income. So that's a subject that I like. I just want to put it out there. Okay.
All right, thank you very much. So here we are in the encore.
So
right?
I just wanted to share with you, a friend of mine in Hawaii is a senior, And she told me that United Health is giving $130 a month to her and her Wi-Fi. So there are programs out there. You just have to call, not ever give up, because they are there for all of us, seriously. So I highly checking out your insurance plans. United Healthcare, again, like I said, she told me that they give $130 a month to her to help her with utility bills and a Wi-Fi. And I actually called for myself to find out, and just information. So you have to do the work, but there are different types of funding. And also with AT&T, I called them. I said, I'm on a SSDI income now, and what can you do to lower the rates? I even condensed was because I did a payment sense to a website, no longer affordable to me. And so we shifted some of the expenses, and my sailboat is an accountant. So you have to review everything, what is necessary or not necessary. And things are really, really happening. Seeing friends that have to up because of landlords selling their houses. I just got called on one today back in Hawaii, where I was expecting to go back. My captain of the sailboat, I say captain, but they're increasing rates and they want to take advantage of people. So you have to do the research too, to say, and kind of like enough is enough, but what can you do to help me out? AT&T they dropped $20 off of my phone bill. And I just said, I can't afford it. It doesn't fit in my Social Security disability now where I'm at, and I'm 55. So some of these other things too, the website, I can't afford a $130 website. And I talked to you about that, Kurt. And even though it was part of a grant, so help me find a company called Hostinger that can do 4-year plan for $130. So there's different companies out there that can help you out. And yes, things are rising. My neighbor, I'm down here in Mexico, we're talking about the electricity bills, how things are rising for us. You're right. So you're like, oh my gosh, I have to give up this for this piece of cap or this thing or Sunset or Acts of Kindness website. Decisions that is not really going to come out of my personal pocket. Shift that energy and still continue that charity website. And I can walk down to the pharmacy and pay my doctor bills to do what I physically need to do. And so, yes. So check out United Health. Again, my girlfriend told me in Hawaii, she's getting over $130 a month, and they're helping with utility bills as well as Wi-Fi. So that's what I share you, Kurt.
All right. Thank you very much, Marianne. So here we are, encore after encore. We just keep it going like the Energizer Bunny. Everybody is welcome here. We're in this Brady Bunch screen here, as 9 of us are here on Zoom. As we close out this show, everybody's welcome to stay on as we go off of live streaming and end our recording. Everybody's welcome to stay on Zoom if that suits them. If people got to go, we understand, because we are running 10 extra minutes so far. We still have to wrap up. So Sue, over to you. If you can box this up, wrap it up, put a bow on it, and work with Emily. You two ladies, take us on out of here, please.
Excellent. Well, we so appreciate all of you joining us. This has been an amazing conversation, and hope you can join us again in upcoming weeks. We are here on Saturdays, 2:00 Central, and we love having all this on here and the amazing conversation that comes from it all. So for Kurt and I'm going to send this over to Emily to put that bow on it and to give those attributions to our podcast network partners. So Emily, over to you.
All right, we'd like to give Special thanks to Marcus Hart of Transforming Media, Jay Stoyan of the Disability Channel, Zach Clayton of the PAC Channel, and Lawrence Wingate of Wingate Studios for allowing us to or for replaying our shows on their platforms. And would encourage everybody to check out all of our social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and like, share, comment, subscribe, and so on. Claire, do you have anything else you want to, or Sue?
I'll just say thank you, 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 thank you. So that's 9 thank yous for the 8 of you, and then a broad thank you to everybody out there watching and listening, and in broad stroke to everybody making this possible. This is just amazing what we can do in 70 minutes of live streaming. Sue, did you have anything, or are we done? Up. She gives the thumbs up. So we are out of here. Thank you. And again, everybody on Zoom, welcome to stay.
Thank you, and so go out and play. I am published on Apple. Aloha.